So I'm going to start out by saying that this is not a political channel. So what I'm going to talk about is about how the daily news is affecting you or me and what we have done and what we've experienced in the past of being 60 and what we've gone through to get to today. So thank you for joining me. I'm Tamara and this is Beauty Within the Soul. So as I said, how is the news affecting me today? Well, it's causing me some anxiety. And again, there is so much hate and there is so much violence going on in the world. So, we all have our rights to our own opinions, and that is our First Amendment, rights. But sometimes people take it a bit too far. So, especially with our family and friends, we should never take anything out on our family and friends, no matter what each other thinks about political wise, or um, whatever the subject is, we should never take it out on our family and friends. My motto has been agree to disagree. Again, agree to disagree. With everything, like I said, going on in this world, I asked myself many times, especially when I'm going through anxiety, how did we get here as a society? And how am I dealing with it all? If you're like 60 or over 60 like me, you've lived through a lot. And you probably feel the weight of the world or what's happening around the world. It's probably on your shoulders, or you feel like it's on your shoulders. But today, I want to talk about how things have changed over the past 50, 60 years and how it's affecting all of us. Because the news does affect all of us. But how we grew up, I'm going to take us down memory lane a little bit. When um, we grew up with TV that only had three channels. Usually it had ABC, CBS, and NBC. And not only that, you had to have rabbit ears on your TV, and some people had it up on top of their roofs. So, do you remember how you had to put tinfoil around the rabbit ears to get better reception, or go on the roof and adjust the ears up on the roof? I remember that too. But now, today, we stream hundreds of shows, from a tiny phone, from an iPad, from your TV. It's amazing. I also remember riding the back seat of a car with seat belts, going to school without phones, not having computers, neighbors waving to each other from the porch. Today, I know three neighbors. One is down the street, one's next door, and one's across the street. Everybody else, I don't know. I wave to everybody just about when I'm outside, because that's how I grew up. Do you remember writing letters? We waited days and sometimes weeks for a reply. Now, people get upset even if you don't text back in 10 minutes. I know that because I get upset when somebody doesn't text me back when I'm waiting for an answer, It's just amazing what we've been through. We've lived through the Cold War, the Vietnam War, 9/11, the Great Recession, COVID-19, and now there's so much unrest again, both globally and right here at home. Back then, we didn't have 24/7 news. The channels usually shut off, I think, at 1 or 2 a.m., and it was like a buzzing. There was no news until about 6 a.m. the next morning. Now it feels like we're drowning in the headlines. Every hour, every 5 minutes, there seems to be something new. And a lot of it is not good. It's easy to feel anxious, it's to feel disconnected, or even invisible as we get older. That's how I've been feeling. So I've been asking myself, Tamara, how are you really handling all of this? I've had a lot of anxiety because I don't like to see or hear about conflict and everything that we go through from day to day. And it's like I said, it's disheartening. And I'm the kind of person that wants to fix things, but I can't fix the world. All I can do is pray for the world. I can pray for our leaders. I can pray for safety for kids and for people, um, for our families. That's all I can do. So these are some of the things that I've learned to help me help myself. I have anxieties not only about the news, but life in general. There's so much going on. So I had to set some boundaries with the news. I check it about once a day, sometimes twice, but I don't watch the whole thing. I usually just kind of watch headlines, and then if there's something that I feel like I really need to know about, I will watch it. But I don't watch it constantly anymore. A few years ago, 3 years ago, I did all the time, and oh my gosh, I can't do it anymore. And it's because my peace matters more than my panic. I need to have more peace than just being frazzled. I listen to the birds when I'm outside. I'll sit in my car, especially in the morning, and as I'm going out to an appointment or something, and I'll hear the birds. I'll roll down my windows and I'll just sit there for about 2 minutes, 5 minutes, I don't know, and I'll just listen to them sing. And it brings my anxiety down. I feel the breeze when I'm outside. I will just stop. And even when it's getting ready to storm, there's a it's funny for me sometimes when there's a storm and it's just your daily storm, like here in Florida we get daily storms. It's just kind of peaceful in a way. I listen to the thunder and the rain, and it seems, you know, I don't know, it just seems peaceful to me. It To me, I feel like it's going to flush out all the old and bring in all the new, if that makes any sense. It re- it reconnects me to something steady. I also talk to people who lift me up. I go to have lunch with friends. Sometimes just laughing with friends reminds me that the world's not all bad. I'll close my eyes and I'll think about what am I grateful for? It helps me stay grounded. And spiritually, I pray, I meditate, I talk to God like He's sitting right here. And He is sitting right here. I always believe that God is always by me because some days I need that comfort. I've also accepted that it's okay to not have all the answers. We don't have to fix the whole world, but we can bring light to our little corner of it. And you know what? Even with all the noise, I still see so much goodness out there. I do see people helping other people. I see people paying for another's food. It's amazing. I see strangers being kind, young people speaking up, and older folks sharing their wisdom. Yes, the world is different, but that doesn't mean we're powerless. We've adapted before and we're doing it again. The truth is, we're more resilient than we often give ourselves credit for. We've been the generation of change, and we still have a lot to offer. We have wisdom, we have patience, and we have perspective. So now I want to ask you, how have the recent effects or the recent events in our world today affected you personally? What do you notice is different from the way things used to be? How do you handle the noise, the chaos, and sometimes the loneliness? What's one thing that keeps you going when the world feels upside down? Let's have this conversation in the comments below. I truly want to hear from you. You're not alone, and your story matters. If this message speaks to you of what I'm talking about today, please give it a like so others can find it, subscribe, and share it. And if I haven't subscribed yet, please do. I don't know why I'm repeating that. I'd love to have you leave a message and be a part of this little community of mine. We're stronger together. Let's lift each other up, especially in times like these. Thank you again for spending time with me today. Take care of your body, your spirit, and your peace. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye.